The Midas touch. Once, in the ancient kingdom of Phrygia, there lived a king named Midas. His palace gleamed with treasures beyond imagination, and his wealth was unmatched. Yet, despite all his riches, Midas was not content. He constantly sought more, believing that more gold, more possessions, would bring him happiness. One day, Dionysus, the god of wine and revelry, visited the palace. Accompanied by his servant Satyros, Dionysus approached Midas, who greeted them with great enthusiasm. "Lord Dionysus," Midas said, bowing before the god, "your arrival is a blessing. What can I do to serve you?" Dionysus smiled. "I have heard much of your wealth, King Midas. You are a man who is never satisfied. You seek something more, do you not?" "Yes," Midas replied eagerly. "More wealth, more treasures. I want to possess everything, to be the richest king the world has ever known." Dionysus chuckled. "I see. You desire something extraordinary, something beyond the ordinary treasures of the world. What if I told you that everything you touch could turn to gold?" Midas gasped. "Everything I touch? You mean I could turn anything into gold?" "Yes," Dionysus said, nodding. "The gift of the golden touch. But remember, not all gifts are without their dangers." Midas, overjoyed, accepted the god's offer without hesitation. He was granted the power to turn anything he touched into solid gold. At first, Midas reveled in his new gift. He touched a chair and it turned to gold. He touched a table and it, too, became gold. Laughing with glee, he rushed outside to test his new power. He touched a tree and it turned to gold. The garden, once full of vibrant flowers, was now a sparkling display of solid gold. Midas's joy, however, was short-lived. As he sat down to eat, he reached for a piece of fruit, eager to satisfy his hunger. But the moment his fingers touched the fruit, it turned to gold. He could no longer eat. In his excitement, he had overlooked the simple pleasures of life: food, warmth, and love. Panic began to set in when Midas, in his desperation, reached out to embrace his daughter. But the moment his hands touched her, she too turned to gold. Midas stared in horror as his beloved daughter stood motionless before him, her face frozen in a golden statue. "No! What have I done?" Midas cried, his heart breaking. "I wanted gold, but I've lost everything that mattered to me." Devastated, Midas returned to Dionysus, begging the god to undo the curse. "Lord Dionysus, please," Midas pleaded, falling to his knees. "Take back this gift. My daughter is turned to gold, and I can no longer enjoy the wealth I sought. I have ruined everything." Dionysus regarded him with a soft, knowing smile. "You sought gold, Midas, but you forgot the true value of what you already had. The things that truly matter cannot be touched by gold." Midas wept, realizing the truth in the god's words. "What must I do to rid myself of this curse?" he asked. "To break the spell," Dionysus replied, "you must wash in the river Pactolus. The waters will cleanse you of your golden touch." Midas hurried to the river, and with trembling hands dipped them into the flowing water. As the river's current washed over him, the golden curse was lifted. He felt the weight of greed lift from his heart, and his touch returned to normal. Midas returned to his palace, now humbled and wiser. He sat with his daughter, once more alive and in his arms, and realized that wealth was not the key to happiness. The true treasures in life were love, family, and the simple joys that could not be measured in gold. Though Midas never regained his former riches, he found something far more valuable: peace and contentment. The lesson of the golden touch stayed with him for the rest of his life. The end. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Be there when the next journey begins.